Hello friends, Adam here. Today we're going to talk about grinding in JRPGs and whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, and which games do it well, which games don't do it well, and whether or not it should be required in your playthrough of a JRPG. And this topic comes up because I've seen a lot of people complain about it on Twitter that Bravely Default 2 is too grindy. Or my JRPG in 2021 shouldn't be this grindy. And I understand what people are saying. They're saying their time is valuable. I'm an adult now. I don't have the time to spend grinding in this video game. It takes too long. All these different arguments against it. And I get it. I'm in a similar position. I'm 25. I have a wife and a kid. I'm busy. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to just sit down and play video games all day like I did when I was in high school or middle school or younger, where I could play, these JRPGs and 100% them and, max out all my level and everything. I remember the first Bravely Default when it came out, I just got engulfed in that game. I freaking loved it and I 100%ed it. Every character, max level, learned every single job, did all the battle, did all the extra asterisk bearer holder battle things, and those were awesome and I loved every moment of it. Now I get the idea that I don't really have time for that. In my opinion, grinding isn't necessary to be successful in a JRPG. I can only think of a couple off the top of my head where grinding makes the game more fun as a whole to the average player, and it's not even. And I say more fun. I don't even know what I mean by that, really. But grinding should never be necessary in a JRPG. That's my opinion, and I don't think it is necessary. And when I say necessary, I mean you need to grind to progress the story. A good video game should not force you to grind to progress the story. However, that doesn't mean you should be able to skip every random encounter possible or just run away from every battle and then still expect to be successful. I think that's part of the expectation that some people have when they're complaining about JRPGs being too grindy. I found that, again, we're talking about Bravely Default 2 because that's kind of the hot topic right now. Grinding isn't necessary as long as you just kind of fight enemies along the way. As long as you don't go out of your way to dodge or avoid enemies or run away from them in battle or flee, I think you'll be fine. I haven't finished the game yet, so there's that. But my experience so far, that's kind of how it's felt. And that's how I felt about the first Bravely Default, Bravely Second as well, and then of course the other game that that same team has made, most recently, Octopath Traveler. I never felt like grinding was necessary. I felt like I could pull it off one way or another, whether I was even if my level was maybe lower than it should have been, but I felt like I could figure it out. Even like the hardest bosses in the game, spoilers for Octopath Traveler, I guess, if you don't want to be spoiled on that. To get the secret jobs, the secret classes, you have to fight like a boss that encompasses that class or whatever, and they're pretty tough. But you can fight them really early and actually be pretty successful. And that was one of my favorite parts of the game, was figuring out how to do that. And it didn't feel like it was by dumb luck either. I feel like I actually had a strategy and I figured it out. And that's when video games are at their best, is when they make you feel good about yourself, when they make you feel like you have accomplished something. And a JRPG can do that without grinding. You don't need to grind. So, games that have done this well, other games that have done this well in the past and in the present. In the past, I think Chrono Trigger is, you guys know I love that game. It's one of my favorite games ever. Did level progression and difficulty curve like some of the best we've ever seen. Man, it's amazing that this game came out 26-ish years ago now, and it's still one of the best RPGs ever made. It's insane to me. Anyways, Chrono Triggers, you're really, as long as you just didn't avoid battles, you never had to grind, and you would have like, you were still learning new abilities, you know, like getting enough tech points. Your whole party leveled up regardless of who was in battle or not. So there was that, so you could switch out party members if you wanted to. The only thing that would change is they weren't learning new techs. But, you know, that I feel like learning new techs happens pretty quick. And then everybody having dual techs and triple techs together is also really cool. So, but anyways, grinding never felt necessary as long as you weren't like just actively avoiding every battle possible. And, you know, case in point, go watch the speed run. You know, grinding is obviously not necessary. I mean, that's to an extreme, but grinding isn't necessary. You can play through the entire game without spending time, you know, running in circles, or running into the same area and running into the same enemies over and over and over again to beat it. I mean, would it make it easier? Probably. I mean, and by probably, I mean, yeah. I mean, higher numbers are going to mean you're going to do higher damage and take less damage in return. So there's that, but it's not necessary. Another great example from the SNES, another RPG that I love, Super Mario RPG. That is one of the most like skill-based. I feel like it's one of the earliest examples of like a skill-based JRPG where you could reduce the damage you did by, you know, by pressing A at the right time, or you could deal extra damage by doing the like action commands at the right time and stuff. I loved that. That worked really well. So Paper Mario, actually, Paper Mario and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, similar things where as long as you do your action commands and everything, you're going to be dealing more damage and taking less damage in return, and it ends up being pretty successful, even if you aren't like a super high level. Also, having that game where your damage doesn't really scale off of your level is actually really, really smart too. So those are just a couple of like older examples that I can think of, and then modern, of course, I love Octopath Traveler. I already talked about that. You don't need to grind. And I really think the Bravely Default games do a pretty good job of it too, unless you want to master like all the classes, which isn't necessary, but you know, it's something you can do. Anyways, this has turned into kind of a rant on grinding in JRPGs. Do you think it should be in the game? Let me know in the comments. I personally don't. I don't think grinding should be like necessary, is what I should say. I don't think it should be necessary to beat the game, to progress the story. But I don't think it's bad to reward people who want to grind so they can master classes and, you know, max out their level and things like that. I think that's fine. I don't think you should be able to just like play through the game normally and master everything. I think it should be a reward for, you know, spending time and effort doing it. However, don't make it necessary to beat the game. Let people beat the game at the pace that they would like to. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's my gist. I want to know what you think. I also want to hear any like video suggestions you guys have for this channel. This channel is, you know, obviously pretty new. You know, and thank you for, we've passed 400 subscribers, which was cool. Just a couple days ago. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing and helping us get to 500, that'd be really awesome. I'd really appreciate that. Maybe someday we'll hit 1,000. That'd be dope. And please like the video. I know I'm asking, this is a lot of calls to action. I'm like, comment, subscribe, like, all this different stuff. If I don't say it, people don't do it though. That's the thing. It's kind of sad. But yeah, click the little thumbs up. It's so easy for you. It helps me more than you would know. And it makes me feel good about myself. Don't you want me to feel good about myself? Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.